Reverend clergy, honored guests, it is a pleasure to welcome you this evening to the New Jersey Performing Arts Center, our city's and state's premier such facility for the 2018 State of the City Address by Mayor Ras J.Baraka. Development Corporation, and I do consider it an honor and a privilege to stand before you this evening. And just so you all know, we are live streaming. This is on our city's website, and we're live on social media, so please be sure to follow us and hashtag New York Forward. To give the indication, this next young man is an example of what training up a child means. At age 7, he's traveling the country, sharing the gospel and Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s message of hope and freedom. A minister, an actor, and an honor roll student, this young prodigy is proof that the future is in good hands. Ladies and gentlemen, young Master Hilton Rawls III.
You all, let us bow our heads. Stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the days when hope unborn had died, yet with a steady beat, cast not our weary feet, come to the place for which our fathers died. Father, we thank you for this place. Father, we thank you for the city of North. Father, we thank you for Mayor Ras J.Baraka and his leadership. Father, we thank you for the elected officials. Father, we thank you for the residents of North. Master, you've been good to this city. Out of our gloomy past, here now we stand at last. And we just want to stop and say thank you. Through many dangers, toils, and snares, we have already come. And your grace has brought us safe thus far, and grace will lead us home. Keep your hand on us. Don't let us go. When the oceans rise and thunders roar, we will soar with you above the storm. Father, you are king over the flood, and we will be still, and know that you are God. And your word says we will bless you at all times, and your praises shall continually be in our mouths. In Jesus' name. In Jesus' name. Amen.
Let's thank him. Yeah, please. We cannot end the program there. We cannot end there. I would now like to call upon Yazid Sharif, a student at the Al-Manal Academy. Yazid enjoys playing lots of sports, basketball, baseball, swimming, hockey, and karate, but his absolute favorite thing to do is play football for the Brick City Lions. His favorite subject in school is Quran, which he loves to learn and recite, and Yazid would like to be a firefighter when he grows up. He will now give a recitation from the Quran. Yazid?
لا يستوي أصحاب النار وأصحاب إلا رأيته خاشعا متصدعا من خشية الله وتلك الأمثال نضربها للناس لعلهم يتفكرون هو الله العالم الغيب والشهادة هو الرحمن الرحيم هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الملك القدوس السلام المؤمن المهيمن العزيز الجبار المتكبر سبحان الله عما يشركون هو الله الخالق البارئ المصور له الأسماء الحسنى يسبح له ما في السماوات والأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم.
All right, thank you again, Mr. Sharif, for that excellent presentation. At this time, I would like to introduce the Department of Public Safety Honor Guard, who will present the colors. Will you all please rise and remain standing after they do so? At this time, I'd like to call forth Jaleel Richwood Jordan, who will render our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land and of the free and the home of the brave.
Thank you. You may be seated. So quickly before our next speaker, I'd like to remind you to follow us on social media and hashtag Newark Forward. Now to introduce our honorable mayor, I would like to call forward Park Elementary School 8th grade student, a resident of Forest Hill. She's on the school's super honor roll where she does the morning announcements, is on the debate team, is a singer, and loves cats. Alyssa Golasso.
Reverend clergy, honorable members of the Newark Municipal Council, honorable members of the Newark Municipal Bench, members of the Newark School Board, distinguished guests, my fellow Newark residents. I want to thank you for the honor of introducing Mayor Ras J.Baraka as he delivers his fourth State of the City address. But since I all think you know that he is our mayor, and he will tell us himself about the amazing progress our city is making, I'm going to speak about Mayor Baraka and the way that many Newark residents of all ages know him as a teacher and a role model. Mayor Baraka was a teacher and principal in Newark Public Schools for 22 years. Students and parents know him as a man who taught, inspired, and mentored them in school and in life. People who have been successful in life can point to a teacher who believed in them, empowered them, and motivated them with the tools, desire, and ability to succeed in school and in life. Ras Baraka has been that kind of teacher, and now as mayor, he is a teacher, mentor, and inspiration for the entire city. He leads by example. As mayor, he inspired me and all the youth of our city to action. He fought alongside us in the fight to take back control of our schools. He's on the front lines with us against gun violence, to stop Trump from deporting our dreamers, to give our dropouts the opportunity to complete high school and go on to college. And our mayor is all about helping my generation become the leaders of opportunities through his youth leadership breakfast, the youth ambassadors, my brother's keeper, my sister's keeper, his youth office right in the city hall. We plan ways to serve our communities. All of Newark is Ras Baraka's classroom, and we, the youth of Newark, are learning valuable life lessons. We will take these lessons into our hearts and use them to build the more prosperous, more diverse, and stronger Newark that we all dream of. That is our lesson from Mayor Baraka and our promise to you as the youth of Newark. So let's hear from our ultimate teacher and our city's mayor, Ras J.Baraka.
Let's give these young people another round of applause, please. An awesome job up here. Please. But before we begin, just want to recognize International Women's History Month. And I want to give two people some roses while they're still alive with us, so they can actually smell them. One is for the first African-American woman to sit on the municipal council, our council president, Mildred Crump. I know she endures much then, and she endures much now. Mildred, Council President, we love you. The second is for a woman that I love dearly, and that is my mother. There has been a lot of talk this season about women and our relationships to them and with them. My mother is the first woman I knew. And a lot of people give credit to my father for raising us, and I think he did an awesome job, but I want to tell you the facts is that my mother raised our family. All of us. And we owe her a debt of gratitude. In fact, this entire city owes her a debt of gratitude. She had to live her life publicly because of her husband and now her son. So, Miss Baraka, Mommy, we love you. I feel good today. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me round, turn me round, turn me round. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me round. Gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching to freedom land. Madam Council President, members of the Municipal Council, Reverend clergy, elected official and esteemed guests, my fellow Newarkers. Tonight is my 4th time delivering the State of the City address. And it is not lost on me that this is probably the most anticipated one because we are in fact in an election season. So while I like to use this speech to go over what we anticipate doing in the coming years, I'd like to first briefly lay out what we have already done. Not what we promised to do, but what we have actually accomplished in a very difficult period in a short 4 years. We cut unemployment while putting the city on firm financial footing. We've changed the narrative about our city and all over the country. The headlines about Newark are changing. And anyone that tries to tell you other than that is trying to peddle you lies. Yes, sir. I'm here to tell you that the old negative narrative is not our story. It is not Newark's story. Ours is an indefatigable journey forward. Not a perfect one, just a persistent one. Yes, sir. It is a story of our collective push forward, our successes, even when others counted us out. How our economy is beginning to thrive, how people finally believe again, how our old problems have given way to the problems that come with success. We could not talk about who is moving to our city years ago because no one was coming. We couldn't argue about whether we should have tall buildings or not because there were no buildings being built. We could not argue about who our superintendent should be because we did not have control over our schools then. We could not argue about how we deliver health care because we were content with inefficiency. We could not argue about gentrification or whether we like Amazon or not because there was not any hope for real growth and development, and we would never have made Amazon's top 20 pick 5 or 10 years ago. And so we are ecstatic to hear that our new governor stands with our quest for Amazon because he understands that this is not just about one company, but about 50,000 direct jobs and some estimated 60 to 100,000 additional jobs, with billions more in investment and more in retail, commercial, and residential space. Not just for Newark, but for the entire state and the region. He understands that our city has been underdeveloped for decades, and this is a real chance to begin steps to fix decades of neglect and invest in infrastructure, training, jobs, and economic development. To not consider this or take this seriously or grapple with this on its face is irresponsible. We must go forward here and we must go forward with Newark leading the way. So we thank Governor Murphy for his support of our great city. We can no longer dwell in the past, romanticize years long gone, or make our millennials believe that their best years will never come because they are all behind them. We have to get them to think about the real issues and real problems that they have to solve. We have to recruit them, not lull them to sleep, or inundate them with confusion and anger. We have to give them life and hope that forward is the best way, that their lives in this city continue to get better with them in it. And we have to provide them space to work, to live, to play, and to transform this city, this state, and this country. That is why we say forward ever, backward never. 4 years ago, if you watched television and listened to the radio, read the newspaper or social media, you'd have been given a bleak and negative narrative that was forced upon us and shaped the way people around the country viewed our great city. It was so pervasive that some of us believed it too, and it ripened into cynicism and recklessness. Not all of it was true, of course, but it began to take hold. The story was every street filled with crime and violence, a police force that was intimidated and brutalizing residents, daily worse than many cities around the country, unemployment off the charts, and a city where the majority of its residents lived in poverty, economic stagnation, and no growth at all. Schools so bad that they had to be under state control in a downtown where there was nothing to do at all. This is what they sold to us. Most of it was never true, but it fit the narrative. However, just 4 years later, there's been so much progress going on that the media can no longer ignore it. Ironically, it came from outside of our city first. The Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, ABC and CBS National News, then NJTV and News 12. Why? Because I'm cutting ribbons almost every other week or breaking ground for new retail, restaurants, affordable housing, hotels, warehouses, market rate units, university centers, and much, much more. This is happening all over our city. Cranes everywhere. $4 billion worth of development, buildings going up on every major corridor, and plans to redevelop entire blocks of abandoned and empty lots. Unemployment is down from almost 12% from when I first started to single digits of 8%. And at one point, it was as low as 7%. This is still not acceptable, which is why we are continuing to push forward. And crime is too high, but we have managed to get it lower than ever reported in the last 50 years with fewer resources. Murder's down 36% since I took office. Robberies down 55%. Auto theft down 32%. And most importantly, there have been 3,288 fewer victims of crime since 2013. 40 fewer murder victims from 2016 to 2017. We put more police on the street and put them in areas where crime is the highest. We took 540 guns off the street last year alone and almost 2,000 since I first took office. And we are deeply focused on rebuilding the trust between our police department and the community. We increased the number of officers walking the beat. We created Community CompStat and graduated hundreds of civilians from our Public Safety Academy. We created clergy patrols and put 2 community service officers in every precinct. We created, with the help of Rutgers University, the Safer Newark Council that helped us target real crime and not put the entire city under siege. They helped us develop new strategies to attack crime that involved community partners and alternative strategies. We developed community street teams that helped us resolve conflicts in high crime areas. They redirect many to education, life skills, employment, and make sure our children get to and from school safely. We develop discussions with cops and kids and cops and community, members around trauma, trust, and resolution. We created a street academy that has engaged dozens of our young people aged 16 to 24 without a high school diploma or a job. We moved them to self-love, education, and employment. And if any of those folks are in here tonight, any of the students or members from the Newark Community Street Team or the Street Academy or the Safer Newark Council, please stand so we can acknowledge you. demonstrating in the streets. Our children were walking out of schools frequently and even barricaded themselves inside the Board of Education central office. We traveled to Trenton to demand the return of our schools. I promised that before this first term was up, that our schools would return to the people of this community. And on February 1st, we celebrated the day when the elected school board finally assumed control of our schools again. And we began the process of looking for our own superintendent, not one appointed by bureaucrats or Trenton politicians. Listen, this path was created because we transformed the environment from destruction and division to problem solving and collaboration. It didn't mean we always agreed, but we understood that our greatest asset was our children, and that our struggles were ultimately centered around their progress. This path was created because we made room for our young people to express themselves, to organize themselves, and to ultimately lead us. Now, more of our students are graduating from high school. Almost 78%. More are going to college. More of our students are in beating the odds schools than in many cities across the nation. And many more of our students are defying expectations and are competing, even surpassing state benchmarks. One young man that personifies this is Jordan Thomas. As a student representative to the Newark School Board, and was one of the students who fought to return our schools to local control. Education is deeply personal to Jordan. It's a value his parents, Neil and Mary Thomas, have always emphasized, and one that his dad, a science teacher at American History High School, would talk about to start each school year. Jordan is now the 21-year-old senior at Princeton University. He's a Rhodes Scholar. The first known public schools graduate to study at the University of Oxford in England in this generation. He's one of 32 American college students elected from a pool of 866 candidates. After Oxford and law school, Jordan plans to return to Newark and work for a nonprofit organization or public interest law firm. But that's not all. Jordan intends to run for public office. On a local, state, and then ultimately the federal level. Jordan Thomas, who grew up on Barber Street in the Ironbound, has not forgotten his roots. And one day, Jordan Thomas may be on this stage delivering the State of the City address. Ladies and gentlemen, Jordan Thomas, we're proud of you. We have so much more to do and a greater work to accomplish as we are still too far behind. This is why we have put together a children's cabinet and a youth policy board to begin to oversee and deliberately provide spaces where our community partners can help guide our district and our schools forward. We cannot stop now. We cannot change course. This work is too serious. We cannot veer off the road because of individual anger and ambition. We do not have the luxury of repeating our past mistakes. We are not returning the schools back to the state. We are not returning them back. Not now, not ever. We must go forward. The real story is that when I came into City Hall, we had a structural deficit and years of unpaid bills. We were not only able to rescue the city from a downward spiral, but also stayed true to our social justice aspirations as well. I came into office with an unbalanced budget and 167 police officers laid off, another 300 retirements and no replacements. We stopped that negative trend and since then have hired close to 500 new officers with another class of over 100 anticipated this summer. In addition, we've opened 3 additional precincts, the first in the Central Ward, And now we're going to open up the 6th and the 7th. The 6th will be in Ivy Hill in the Velsburg section of our city. And the 7th will be in the city's North Ward in School Stadium. Our stories are about Detective Joe Suarez, a 16-year veteran assigned to our ERT. He was shot in his chest with a bullet striking his ballistic shield while executing a warrant and an arrest. He did not return fire after being shot and made an arrest. Moreover, there was also a woman and a young child present at the scene. And you know, if this incident had gone wrong, we would still be discussing this today, but in a negative manner. This detective showed extreme restraint and discipline, made the arrest, saved innocent lives, and lifted the honor and reputation of our officers for years to come. There was also a firefighter named Paul Lieber, a 10-year veteran in Engine 7, who became trapped in a 2-alarm fire. He almost lost his life that day. If it weren't for his fellow firemen that went back into the building and rescued him, he may not have been here with us this evening. Detective Suarez and firefighter Lieber, please stand. These men risk their lives for our city and its residents. Today, we honor them for their service, and we honor them as residents of our city. Forces were laid off in 2010 since I took office, but we've hired 27 more. Crossing guards were laid off, and not only did we stop the layoffs, we hired an additional 40 and put them on a road to increase their salaries to $15 an hour. We purchased new equipment for public works, police, and fire, and we did all of this while rising out of a financial crisis. It's easy for people who stood on the sidelines to make videos now about how they would pass out money after we fixed the holes in the floor, repaired the roof, and stopped the hemorrhaging. But recently, Moody's report said the revision of the outlook to positive for negative reflects our expectations that the recent positive financial operations will continue in the city. We were fiscally responsible. We raised revenue, increased development, and invested back into our employees and city services. This is not something we are promising to do because times have gotten better. This is something we did in very difficult and critical times. In fact, when we first took office, the headline was Newark Police under federal consent decree. And just a year or two later, President Obama invited me to the White House to be on a panel about criminal justice reform. Visited Newark to announce his plans around these reforms on a national level. Listen, the real story is that Newark police are making less unnecessary arrests while reducing crime, and getting fewer complaints while reducing homicides and robberies. And while the rest of the country is talking about the Ferguson effect, Newark passed the Civilian Complaint Review Board. We've increased in community engagement, opened a women's support center with community involvement. We implemented alternative policing strategies and have managed to achieve record highs in crime reduction at the same time. We eliminated contracts that were given illegally and untruthfully on emergency basis for years at a cost to taxpayers of millions and millions of dollars, and fought to give work to local and minority contractors so they could benefit from their own city. We were taken to court by a company that was given emergency contracts for 10 years of nearly $10 million a year. We won the court battle, and now we can and will give a piece of those contracts to local women and minority-owned businesses. This administration saved the city millions in healthcare costs and forced a discussion about rising healthcare expenses and a designed to rip off our residents, bloat their tax bill, force employees to pay a greater percentage in health care, and move the city backward. The city's street cleaning contract was held by a vendor that wielded undue influence on our city far too long, and streets that were never really cleaned anyway. We took initiative. We took risk. We brought it in-house, leased our own trucks, put our destiny in our own hands. And whether we're getting it right or not, we are doing it ourselves. And what you will never ever read in the newspapers or see on TV is that the person who influenced the cleaning contract and profited from it is the same person who influenced the health insurance contract. It's the same person who influenced the street sweeping contract. And I am trying to redistribute some wealth in this city and not put it all in the hands of a few greedy power brokers. Tell that story. Moreover, while this president has been on a mission to build walls and alienate our residents and create division, we created municipal IDs and made Newark a fair and welcome city. We stood against hatred in all of its forms. We have uplifted all of our communities and involved them in every step forward, no matter the language they speak, the food they eat, how they decide to pray, or if they are gay or straight. We gave our LGBTQ community access to a wide array of health and wellness services and a police liaison to address their unique needs. I'd also like to take a moment to pay homage to a member of our city's arts community, an advocate for the LGBTQ community that we lost last year, Mr. Rodney Gilbert. Rodney played an important role in the development of our citywide mural program and also served on our LGBTQ commission, and all of us will miss him dearly. We are making Newark work for all. We passed a cumulative impact ordinance while the president pulled out of the Paris Climate Accord. We passed an inclusionary zoning ordinance that creates 20% affordable units in every residential building that receives a variance or subsidy from the city. And soon every developer will have to comply with this law. And while the federal government cuts money for low-income housing in Newark, we are encouraging affordable home ownership. We've provided land and buildings at very low cost, as well as financial grants to residents to help people develop homes for themselves. We've collaborated with groups like the Urban League to build affordable homes for residents that were renters to turn them into homeowners. And we help homeowners facing foreclosure. We support efforts to call for a statewide moratorium on foreclosures and have collaborated with New Jersey Community Capital to acquire both unoccupied and occupied properties under Newark Mortgage Stabilization Program to modify people's loans, write down their mortgages to the current value of their property, and forgive back payments. In addition, a number of unoccupied homes are in the process of rehabilitation and we put back on the market as affordable homes. We've taken slumlords to court, forced them to upgrade their buildings for residents, and moved people out of substandard and dilapidated housing at the owner's expense. We managed to get the Fox Landlord Group to sell all of their properties, more than 200 units across the city, and work with a new owner to build upgrades in security, doors, HVAC, kitchens, bathrooms, walls, and keep it all affordable. In fact, in 2014, we have constructed some 3,415 housing units outside of the downtown area, and 58% of them are affordable. We organized and collaborated with mid-sized to small local black and brown developers to target development in the most difficult areas of the city. And we managed, with the help of the council, to push to strengthen the rent control ordinance that I sponsored while I was a council member. Moreover, Councilmember Ramos and I pushed for earned sick leave. We stood at the airport and across the city to fight for an increase in the minimum wage. And while those who did nothing to help the homeless, now to attack our new homeless shelter. The real story is that the city managed to find a way to set up its first city-run homeless shelter, a refuge from the streets and the bitter cold that has on average seen 125 persons per night and provided over 14,000 bed nights since we opened. We have seen close to 3/4 of the homeless population. This has never been done. We created systems around Newark 2020 while corporate partners have agreed to and are hiring more Newark residents, investing in Newark businesses and encouraging more employees to live here. For example, 83 Newark residents have completed the Higher Newark Employment Ready Boot Camp at Ras J.Baraka Beth Israel Hospital since its inception in 2016. The program has a 92% employment rate and 82% of its participants are still currently employed. Alfred Elliott, a 41-year-old male, was born and raised in Newark and currently lives in the West Ward, a husband and a father of 3. He spent years going from one temporary job to the next, unable to secure full-time employment. But today, thanks to the Higher Newark program, Alfred has secured 2 positions. He graduated from the 5-week intensive job readiness course in the fall of 2017. Is now the distribution clerk at Newark Beth Israel and an inventory specialist at Ras J.Baraka Health. Please stand to be acknowledged. Kaya Taylor, 33 years old, from the North Ward, was in great emotional pain when she found the program. Kaya had been forced to close her hair salon after just 1 year in business. She also lost the matriarch of her family, her great-grandmother. She felt discouraged and defeated, but then she found the Higher Newark program and began to transform her life. With the help and support of coaches in the program, she improved her public speaking skills. She learned how to build an effective resume, how to cultivate a network of contacts, and most of all, how to be patient with herself and others. Today, Kaya is gainfully employed as a concierge at the Clara Mass Medical Center and Ras J.Baraka Health Facility. Please stand to be acknowledged. There is amazing collaborative work going on at Rutgers Newark under the leadership of Nancy Cantor. The Newark City of Learning Collaborative, the Honors Living and Learning Community, and the Run to the Top program are just 3 of them. Under Nancy's direction, Rutgers Newark has increased its enrollment of Newark students by 60% in the last few years. They are focused in on families that have a household income of $60,000 or less and are giving them full tuition. Let me tell you 2 stories. Tariq Rowland grew up in the South Ward of the city of Newark in 2003. He was ranked one of the top 100 players in New Jersey, receiving several athletic awards throughout his basketball career. Tariq admitted as a transfer student into the Honors Living Learning Community in 2017 at the earned associate's degree in arts and science at Essex County College First. Tariq is pursuing a social work degree at Rutgers University, Newark. His experience from growing up in Newark gave him a desire to care, assist, and encourage others to be resilient and cultivate opportunities for themselves, and influenced his goal to become a social worker and work with youth from inner cities to empower, motivate, and have a positive impact on their lives. As a working student and a proud father, Tariq not only studies in Newark, but is also an employee in Newark's sanitation department. Having overcome the pipeline from school to prison, he demonstrates a great work ethic and responsibility as a student and a father, and is involved with the Truth and Racial Healing and Transformation Center, as well as the intergroup dialogue, reflecting his passion for building bridges between communities and mentoring young students. What a guy. Castillo, class of 2020, Rutgers School of Public Affairs and Administration, and a recipient of the Run to the Top, was born in Honduras, but immigrated here in 2003 in hopes of greater opportunity. Her family settled in Newark and have lived in the same 2-block radius of the South Ironbound since their arrival. Her heart resides in Newark and its people. It is because of the people here that she is where and who she is today. She grew up seeing people, like her parents, her fellow artists, make the best of very little they had, and that was the most valuable lesson she could ever learn. She learned to be resourceful, to take every opportunity and run with it. She attended Arts High School and immediately fell in love with it. She arrived at Newark Airport at the age of 6. She didn't know if she could even go to college. She felt invisible for a very long time. She was resentful at the way life was turning out for her, and she missed her family. And it was 14 long years. But she took all of her pain and began writing about it through song, poetry, journal entries, and anything else she could get her hands on. She began singing at open mics in Newark, at Le Rouge, and open arts festivals, and Feed the Soul. Yemi's story is a story that needs to be told, not just in Newark, but across the country. Tariq and Yemi, please stand. City. Intense, deliberate, and collaborative work. We are tackling real problems that have burdened our city for decades. And I'm here to tell you tonight that our city's path forward relies on our ingenuity, our courage, and our ability to cooperate with each other, to debate sincerely and openly without demonizing or looking for easy answers. Forward is done through collaboration, an unyielding commitment to tell all of us, not self. Forward is not about self-interest and small ambitions. Forward accounts for all of us. Forward is not about acquiring position for ourselves, but about seizing power for us all. Forward encompasses our dreamers looking for the promise of America, our undocumented feeling safe to invest in our economy and take a part in our progress. Forward includes formerly incarcerated, trying to make amends through work and civic engagement. Forward is about all of our residents benefiting from the city's renaissance. Forward is our students going to college and finding careers in the city of their birth. Forward is about safe community for our families and seniors that enjoy their golden years. Forward is about our hope and progress, about embracing our future, about challenges and new solutions. Forward does not mean we don't struggle with each other. It only means that we do it with all of us in mind and not a few of us. Forward is not just about knocking down walls. It's about building systems that will sustain us, elevate us, transform us, and stand in the way of us ever going backward